My girlfriend smiled across the dinner table, showed off her new manicure, and told our friends, if he proposes with some tiny little ring, I'm saying no. I'm not wearing embarrassment on my hand. Everyone went quiet as she glanced at my jacket pocket like she already knew the ring was there. What she didn't know was that I had already seen the group chat where she told them to record my face if I failed her standards. I'm Hubert, 35, and after nearly 6 years with her, I honestly thought the hardest part of proposing would be keeping the ring hidden in the back of my sock drawer. Turns out, the ring was never the real problem. For a long time, Vanessa and I were the couple people assumed would end up married. We had our routines. Sunday grocery runs. Takeout on the couch when neither of us felt like cooking. Her stealing the blanket and pretending she didn't. Me saving the last bite of dessert because she always said she didn't want any, then looked at mine like it personally betrayed her. I loved her. I don't say that lightly, and I don't want to rewrite the whole relationship like it was terrible from the start. It wasn't. Vanessa could be funny, sharp, affectionate, and supportive in ways that made me feel like I had someone in my corner. When we talked about marriage in the early years, it felt normal, warm, like something we were walking toward together. She used to say, I don't need anything crazy, just something pretty and thoughtful. And I believed her. About 8 months before everything fell apart, I started seriously looking at rings. I saved pictures, compared settings, read too many reviews, and learned words I never thought would take up space in my brain. Oval, cushion, hidden halo, pave, lab-grown versus natural. I even kept a note on my phone titled Vanessa Ring Ideas, which was mostly things she mentioned casually over the years. She liked delicate bands. She hated rings that sat too high. She wanted something that looked elegant, not bulky. At least, that was what she used to say. Then her friend Marissa got engaged. Marissa's proposal looked like it had been produced by a small film crew. Rooftop dinner, candles everywhere, a photographer hiding somewhere, champagne, friends waiting afterward, and a ring big enough that Vanessa zoomed in on every photo like she was studying evidence. The night Marissa posted the pictures, Vanessa sat next to me on the couch with her phone tilted toward her face, scrolling slowly. Look at this, she said. I glanced over. Nice. Good for them. She pinched the screen and zoomed in on Marissa's hand. No, look at the ring. I looked again. It's big. It's not just big. It's tasteful. That's what it looks like when a man is proud to claim you. I remember that sentence because it hit me in a weird place. Not enough to argue, but enough that I stopped watching the show we had on. Proud to claim you? I asked. She shrugged like it was obvious. A proposal says a lot. I agree. I just don't think it only says something through size. Vanessa gave me a little smile, the kind that wasn't really a smile. That sounds like something men say when they're preparing to disappoint someone. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. After that, the ring talk changed. At first, it was subtle. She sent me TikToks with captions like, when he actually understands your value, and minimum ring standards women need to stop apologizing for. She would send them while I was doing something completely ordinary, like brushing my teeth or paying a bill, and then ask if I had watched them. One night I said, are these hints, or are you just sending me homework? She didn't laugh. I just think couples should be aligned before a proposal. Aligned on marriage, yes. And effort. I'm not against effort. You say that, but you get weird every time money comes up. I put my phone down. I get weird when it starts sounding like the ring is a receipt for how much I love you. Vanessa crossed her arms. That's not what I said. It's what it's starting to feel like. She looked away from me and stared at the TV. I'm allowed to have standards. That became her favorite line. Anytime I try to talk about budget, timing, or what marriage would actually look like after the Instagram photos were over, she said I was making her feel guilty for having standards. I wasn't dragging my feet. I had already found a ring I thought she would love. It was beautiful. Not tiny. Not cheap. Not some last-minute clearance case thing. It was elegant, bright, and close to the style she had described before Marissa's engagement turned everything into a competition. I had the receipt tucked in an envelope with the return window circled because the store had explained the resizing policy and all the practical stuff. I had a reservation saved. I had spoken to a photographer because, ironically, I knew Vanessa would like having the moment captured. I had even written a few lines in my notes app because I didn't want to freeze when the time came. I was planning a proposal. She was planning a performance. I just didn't know it yet. The first time she embarrassed me in public, I told myself she got carried away. We were out with a few friends for dinner. Nothing fancy, just one of those places with dim lights, small tables, and menus everyone pretended to understand before ordering the same safe thing. Vanessa was sitting next to me, Marissa across from her, Tasha beside Marissa, and Brandon near the end of the table. Marissa was showing more engagement photos because someone asked. Vanessa looked at every picture like it personally challenged her. Then she said, "I already told Hubert. If he proposes with something small, I'm saying no." A couple of people laughed because they thought she was joking. She kept going. "I'm serious. I'm not wearing embarrassment on my hand." The table got quiet in that specific way people get quiet when they wish a conversation had chosen a different exit. I felt heat go up my neck. Brandon looked down at his plate. Tasha picked up her water and took a sip even though the glass was almost empty. Marissa gave this awkward little laugh and said, "Girl, stop." Vanessa leaned back, enjoying the attention. "What? A ring shows what a man thinks you're worth." I kept my voice low. "Vanessa." She turned to me with wide eyes, performing innocence. "What? Don't make it weird. I'm allowed to have standards. I'm asking you to stop measuring me out loud." That killed the laughter completely. For the rest of dinner, she acted like I had ruined the mood. She barely spoke to me on the way home, then finally said, "You embarrassed me." I actually laughed once because I thought she couldn't be serious. "I embarrassed you?" I asked. "You got defensive in front of everyone. You told everyone you'd reject me if my ring embarrassed you." She turned toward the passenger window. "If it doesn't apply, why are you upset?" That was another line she started using. Social media had given her a full script, and she knew every part. Over the next few weeks, the pressure got worse. She posted vague stories like, "Some men want wives but don't want to provide wife treatment, and if he wanted to, he would." She never tagged me, but enough people knew we had been together for nearly 6 years. Enough people understood who the message was for. When I brought it up, she said, "It's just a post." It's not just a post when your friends text you laughing emojis after you make it. She rolled her eyes. "Maybe stop acting guilty." I tried one more serious conversation. We were in the kitchen. She was sitting at the counter, scrolling through Ring videos while I cleaned up after dinner. Her phone was loud enough for me to hear some woman saying, "Ladies, if the ring doesn't scare him a little, he doesn't respect you." I turned off the sync. "Can we talk without a video telling us what to think?" Vanessa paused it, but didn't put the phone down. I said, "I want to marry you. I've been clear about that. But I need to know you care more about the marriage than the ring." She stared at me. "That sounds like something a man says when he already bought a disappointing ring. I'm not putting a dollar amount on you." "Exactly," she said. "Because you're afraid of what the dollar amount would be." That one hurt more than I wanted to admit. Not because I couldn't afford a ring she'd like, but because she was talking to me like I was trying to cheat her out of love. I went quiet after that. That's something people mistake about quiet people. They think quiet means passive. Sometimes it just means you're watching. The first crack in the whole setup came from a shared tablet. Vanessa had used it earlier to pull up a recipe we made sometimes. A pasta dish with too much garlic that she loved, and I pretended not to mind. Later that night, I grabbed the tablet because I couldn't remember the oven temperature for garlic bread. When I unlocked it, a messaging app was still open in the background. I wasn't trying to read anything. I was literally looking for a recipe. But a notification dropped down from a group chat with a name full of ring emojis and champagne emojis. The preview said, "If Hubert lowballs you, make him redo it." I just stood there holding the tablet. Another message popped up under it. "Don't let him embarrass you after Marissa's proposal, LOL." My stomach dropped. I didn't open the whole chat that night. I didn't have to. The preview was enough to tell me something was off. I set the tablet down, found the recipe on my phone instead, and acted normal for the rest of the evening. Vanessa didn't notice anything. She was in a good mood, humming while she painted her nails at the kitchen table. I watched her from the sink and realized I didn't know whether I was looking at the woman I loved or the woman who had been laughing about me behind my back. 2 days later, Tasha messaged me. At first, it was simple. "Hey, do you have a minute?" I stared at it for a while before answering. "Yeah, what's up?" She typed for a long time, then stopped, then typed again. "I'm sorry. I should have said something sooner." My chest tightened before she even sent the next message. This stopped feeling like wedding excitement and started feeling cruel. I don't want to be part of setting someone up. Then the screenshots came in. Not one, Not two. A stack of them. I sat on the edge of the bed and read them while Vanessa was in the shower, steam curling under the bathroom door like everything in our life was normal. There were messages about makeup appointments. A photographer Vanessa had apparently contacted just in case. Draft captions for a proposal that hadn't happened yet. One said, 6 years later and he finally understood the assignment. Another said, worth the wait when he proves he knows your value. There were jokes about my budget. Jokes about training me. Jokes about how men needed pressure or they'd do the bare minimum forever. Then I saw the line that made me feel like something inside me shut off. Vanessa had written, I'm not sure he's husband material yet, but he's stable enough to build from. Someone replied, then make him prove it. Vanessa answered, exactly. If the box looks small, somebody record my face. He needs to learn. I read that 3 times. Not because I didn't understand it. Because I did. There was more. If he lowballs me, I'll say yes privately, but make him redo it properly. No way I'm letting Marissa have a better proposal story. If he wanted a low-maintenance girl, he picked wrong. And one that just sat there like a rock in my chest. A luxury ring would show he can be useful long-term. Useful. Not loved. Not trusted. Not chosen. Useful. Tasha sent one final message. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just thought you should know before dinner. She told everyone it might be the night. I looked toward the bathroom door. Vanessa was singing softly in the shower. Dinner. That was when everything clicked. I had already made a dinner reservation for the proposal, but Vanessa had somehow turned the same night into her own setup. She had told people it might happen. She had fresh nails planned. Makeup. Friends ready. Phones ready. A photographer she had contacted behind my back. Not for a memory. For leverage. I didn't confront her that night. I know some people would have. Some people would have kicked the door open and demanded answers with shampoo still in her hair. I didn't. I saved the screenshots. I forwarded receipts and email confirmations to a folder. I took pictures of the ring receipt, the return policy, the photographer deposit confirmation I had made for my original plan, and the cancellation deadline. Then I canceled everything except the dinner. The photographer I had booked for my proposal? Canceled. The small private room I had asked about for dessert afterward? Canceled. The little arrangement I had planned with the restaurant? Canceled. Each email reply felt strangely calm. Your cancellation request has been received. Your refund will be processed within 5 to 7 business days. We're sorry your plans changed. So was I? But I kept the dinner reservation because Vanessa had already made that table her stage. I wasn't going to create a scene for revenge. I wasn't going to yell, insult her, or embarrass her the way she had planned to embarrass me. I just wanted one clean truth said in front of the audience she had invited into our relationship. The night of the dinner, Vanessa came out looking exactly like someone expecting to be photographed. Her hair was done. Her makeup was perfect. Her nails were fresh, glossy, and pale pink. She wore the dress she always said made her look expensive. When she caught me looking, she smiled. What? She asked. You look nice. Her smile widened. Tonight feels important, doesn't it? I put my jacket on. The ring box sat in the inside pocket, heavier than it had any right to be. Yeah, I said. It does. On the ride there, she kept checking her phone. Twice, I saw the screen light up with messages from the group chat. She angled it away from me both times. At the restaurant, the table was already half full. Marissa hugged Vanessa and immediately looked at her left hand, then at me, then away. Tasha gave me a quick, nervous glance. Brandon nodded at me, but didn't say much. Everyone knew something, or thought they did. Vanessa sat beside me and kept touching my arm, leaning into me, laughing a little too loudly. Her friends kept checking their phones. One of them had hers face down on the table, but her fingers rested on it like she was waiting for a cue. The waiter came by for drink orders, and Vanessa ordered champagne before anyone else had opened the menu. Marissa smiled awkwardly. Celebrating something? Vanessa looked at me through her lashes. Maybe. I don't know. Ask Hubert. A few people laughed, but it was thin. I ordered water first. I needed a clear head. Dinner moved like a car rolling slowly toward a wall. People made small talk about nothing. The food came. Someone asked Brandon about a trip. Marissa talked about wedding colors. Vanessa barely ate. She kept glancing at my jacket pocket, then at my face, then at her friends. At one point, under the table, she squeezed my knee. You're quiet, she whispered. I'm thinking. Good things. I looked at her. Important things. She smiled like that was exactly what she wanted to hear. After the plates were cleared, the waiter came back and asked if we wanted dessert. Vanessa sat up straighter. One of her friends lifted her phone slightly, pretending to check a notification. Tasha looked down at her lap. I felt strangely outside my own body when I stood. The table went still. Vanessa's mouth opened. Her eyes filled instantly, not with surprise, but with readiness. Like an actress hearing her cue. "Oh my God," she whispered. I reached into my jacket and took out the ring box. A tiny sound went through the table. Not a gasp. More like everyone inhaling at the wrong time. Vanessa extended her left hand before I said a word. I looked at her hand, then at her face. "Please don't," I said. Her smile flickered. I didn't get down on one knee. I placed the ring box on the table between us. The waiter had started approaching with dessert menus, saw the box, then saw my face, and quietly backed away like he had walked into a room where something fragile had already broken. I opened the box. The ring caught the light. It was beautiful. Exactly the kind of ring Vanessa once would have loved before love became a scoreboard. A clean oval stone, delicate band, a small hidden halo. Not the oversized luxury ring she had been demanding. Not Marissa's ring. Not a trophy. Vanessa stared at it. For 1 second, I saw the old version of her. The one who might have touched her mouth and cried because I remembered what she liked. Then her eyes sharpened. I said, "I bought this because I wanted to marry the woman I thought you were." Nobody moved. Vanessa blinked. "Hubert, what are you doing?" "I'm not proposing tonight." Her face changed completely. The softness vanished. "What?" "I'm explaining why I won't." Marissa looked down. Brandon leaned back slightly. Tasha closed her eyes for half a second. I kept my voice calm because I had promised myself I wouldn't give Vanessa a meltdown she could edit into victimhood. This ring was never too small. Your respect was. Vanessa let out a nervous laugh. "Okay, that's not funny. It's not a joke. You're seriously doing this here? This is the audience you prepared." Her cheeks flushed. I didn't prepare an audience. I looked at the phones on the table. One friend slowly lowered hers. "I know about the group chat," I said. That was when the table became silent in a way I will never forget. No silverware. No fake laughter. Nothing. Vanessa's eyes flashed toward Tasha so fast it told me everything. Tasha looked down. Vanessa turned back to me. "So you snooped through my private messages?" "No." A preview showed up on the tablet. Then someone sent me screenshots because they didn't want to be part of setting me up. "That's insane," Vanessa snapped. "You're twisting things." "I'm not going to read all of it," I said. "I don't need to. But everyone here should understand why this is not a proposal." I took out my phone. My hand was steady, which surprised me. I read only 2 lines. "If the box looks small, somebody record my face. He needs to learn." Vanessa's lips parted. I read the second one. "I'm not sure he's husband material yet, but he's stable enough to build from." Brandon muttered, "That's messed up." Vanessa whipped her head toward him. "Stay out of it." He didn't raise his voice. "That wasn't a joke, Vanessa." Her eyes filled with tears then, but they weren't the same tears she had prepared for a proposal. These were angry tears. "You're humiliating me," she said. I closed the ring box. "No," I said. "I'm just done helping you humiliate me." She reached for my wrist. "Hubert, sit down. We can talk about this." We did talk. "You called it standards. You made me look awful. You wrote it down." Her mother, Elaine, wasn't at the dinner, but I could almost hear the kind of advice Vanessa had grown up around. "Marry well. Look impressive. Don't let people think you settled." Vanessa had repeated those ideas enough that they felt like guests at the table too. Vanessa lowered her voice. "You're really going to throw away 6 years over a ring?" That hurt because it was exactly the version of the story she wanted. I put enough cash on the table to cover my part of dinner, and then some. I didn't want the next accusation to be that I stormed out and stuck her with the bill. "I'm not leaving because of a ring," I said. "I'm leaving because you made respect conditional." Then I picked up the ring box and walked out. Nobody chased me. That might sound dramatic, but the walk to my car was the quietest part of the whole night. No music. No phone call. No shouting behind me. Just my shoes on the pavement and the ring box in my hand. When I got home, I sat on the edge of the bed and opened the Notes app where I had written my proposal speech. I read the first line. "I knew I wanted to marry you during the quiet moments." I deleted it. Then the next line. "And I want a life full of those moments with you." Deleted. By the time the note was empty, I didn't feel better, exactly, but I felt awake. Vanessa called me 12 times that night. I didn't answer. Then the text came. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I can't believe you punished me for having standards. You let someone manipulate you with screenshots. You owe me an apology. Then, around 1 a.m. Please just answer. We can fix this. I stared at that one for a long time. The problem was that a part of me wanted to answer. Not because I thought she was right, but because 6 years doesn't disappear just because one night gives you clarity. Your body still remembers the person you used to call when something happened. Your mind still reaches for the old version of them before it catches up. But I didn't answer. The next morning, I started untangling my life from hers. I canceled the remaining engagement plans. I checked anything we had discussed, but not finalized. I separated money we had set aside for future plans that had never become legally or practically shared. I put her things in boxes carefully, not angrily. I didn't break anything. I didn't throw her stuff outside. I just packed like someone closing a door on purpose. Then I returned the ring. The employee at the jewelry store recognized me. She was the same woman who had helped me compare settings and told me Vanessa had good taste based on the pictures I showed her. Her smile faded when I put the box on the counter. Did the size not work? She asked gently. I shook my head. The person didn't. She didn't pry. She checked the receipt, confirmed I was still inside the return window, inspected the ring, and processed it quietly. When she handed me the final receipt, she said, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I nodded. Me too. That was the first time I almost cried. Not at dinner. Not during the texts. Not deleting the proposal notes. But standing under jewelry store lights, watching a stranger put away the ring I had chosen for the future I thought I was building. By that afternoon, Vanessa posted her version. It was one of those vague social media stories with a black background and white text. Never let a man punish you for having standards. Then another one. Some men will embarrass you publicly because they know they can't meet you privately. I didn't respond. I wanted to. I had screenshots. I had receipts. I had proof of the photographer she contacted and the caption she drafted. I could have posted everything and let people tear her apart. But I didn't want to become the kind of person who needed an audience to feel right. The people who had been at the dinner knew enough. Marissa didn't comment on Vanessa's posts. Neither did Brandon. Tasha left the group chat that same day. Someone else muted it, according to Tasha, who sent me one more apology. I'm sorry again, she wrote. I know sending the screenshots doesn't erase that I stayed quiet for too long. I answered. You told me before I made a mistake I couldn't easily undo. Thank you. Brandon texted me too. For what it's worth, nobody at that table thought you were the problem. I didn't know how much I needed to hear that until I read it. A couple of days later, Elaine called me. I almost didn't pick up. Vanessa's mother and I had always been polite, but she had made enough comments over the years about men needing to step up that I knew where Vanessa got some of it. Still, I answered. Her voice was stiff. Hubert, I'm trying to understand what happened. I think Vanessa can explain it. She says you humiliated her. I told the truth after finding out she planned to humiliate me if I didn't perform correctly. There was a pause. She planned makeup, Elaine said slowly. And a photographer? She contacted one. I had my own plans too, before I knew what was happening. Another pause. She told me you brought a ring. I did. And you didn't propose. No. Elaine exhaled, and for the first time, she sounded less like Vanessa's defender and more like a tired mother realizing the story had holes. Was it a bad ring? She asked. No. It was beautiful. Then why would she? She didn't finish. I didn't either. Finally, she said, I'm sorry this became what it became. It wasn't a full apology, but it was more than I expected. Vanessa tried a few more times after that. Some messages were angry. Some were soft. One said, I panicked because I wanted to feel chosen. Another said, you know I didn't mean useful like that. I didn't believe that. Not because I thought Vanessa had never loved me. I think she did, in whatever way she understood love at the time. But she had started treating love like leverage. Respect became something I could earn if I spent enough, performed enough, proved enough, and let her friends judge the results. That was not a marriage. That was an audition with bills attached. When she came by to get her things, I had the boxes stacked near the door. She looked smaller than she had at dinner. No perfect makeup. No polished performance. Just Vanessa in a hoodie, eyes tired, holding her keys too tightly. She glanced around the room like she expected me to soften. So that's it, she asked. Yes. 6 years, and you're just done? I kept my voice even. 6 years is why I tried as long as I did. She swallowed. I would have said yes. I looked at her then. Really looked at her. If the ring passed. Her face twisted. That's not fair. It's accurate. She picked up one of the boxes, then set it down again. I didn't think you'd actually leave. That was the most honest thing she had said in weeks. I know, I said. For a second, I thought she might apologize without defending herself. She opened her mouth, closed it, then shook her head. You made me look like a terrible person. I felt the last bit of hope leave me quietly. No, I said. I stopped hiding how you were treating me. She cried then, but I didn't move toward her. Not because I wanted to be cruel. Because I knew if I comforted her, the whole conversation would become about her pain instead of what caused it. She took the boxes and left. Afterward, the place felt too quiet, but not empty in the way I expected. It felt like a room after a loud TV had finally been turned off. I spent that evening cleaning small things. A coffee mug she always used. A drawer with hair ties in it. A charger she left behind. Ordinary evidence of a life that had almost become permanent. Then I found one last thing in my sock drawer. The little velvet bag the ring box had come in. I held it for a second, then threw it away. I didn't leave because Vanessa wanted a nice ring. I would have been proud to give her one. I didn't leave because she liked pretty things, or because she wanted photos, or because Marissa had a flashy proposal. I left because she turned a promise into a test. I left because she let other people laugh at the idea of training me. I left because she was ready to record my disappointment and use my love as raw footage. A proposal should not feel like a public audit. A ring should not be a tool someone uses to measure whether you deserve basic respect. And marriage should not begin with one person waiting to see if the other can be shamed into performing correctly. The best decision I made wasn't buying the ring. It was not giving it to the wrong person. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.